As a Vietnamese American, how much of your culture do you know as opposed to American culture?
I would
This is Ella, a Vietnamese American who was born and raised in the United States.
I would say for Vietnamese culture, like I don't exactly know the language. I don't exactly speak it. I can understand it, but it's a very limited amount. Growing up as an Asian American, my parents are both immigrants. They spoke to me in Vietnamese, so like that's where I learned to understand Vietnamese. But as I got older, they stopped speaking to me in Vietnamese, and it was only my grandparents who spoke to me in Viet. But as I got older, like I stopped seeing them less, and slowly, like my Viet is like fading in a way.
Due to her lack of exposure to the Vietnamese language, Ella feels as though she's separated from her culture. This is an example of assimilation due to the fact that her parents have stopped speaking Vietnamese to her and started speaking English more in her upbringing.
Food sometimes, but it's not like every single meal. I have it at least like once a week, but even then, it's just like a simple beef or like braised pork or fish dish with rice and soup. Those are like my main meals as a Vietnamese American. But for the other days, I would have like salmon and quinoa or salads and steak, more of an American type meal.
Okay, so you already kind of answered these next two, but
From language all the way down to food, assimilation can affect many components of one's culture and can also cause them to feel separated from it.
like, do you ever feel different than other Vietnamese Americans who were born in Vietnam? And have you like ever felt out of touch because you were raised in America?
Oh,
Like out of
definitely.
touch with your culture?
Definitely. A lot of my friends are Vietnamese Americans that were born in Vietnam. My best friend Catherine, she was born in Vietnam and raised there for a couple years. Like she did kindergarten over there, so she could obviously speak Vietnamese, and she's just more in touch with her culture as like her family works with a lot of people like immigrants from Vietnam. So she's like she talks to them and works with them and has kept up her language ability to speak and understand Viet.
When comparing herself to her friend, she realizes that her friend is more immersed in their culture than she is, and this is due to her and her family practicing anti-assimilation, and this preserves their cultural traditions and practices.
So for New Year's, like Lunar New Year's, Mid-Autumn Festival, I don't really celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival, and like other families do, and it kind of makes me like kind of miss out on some of the things that other people in my culture have enjoyed. Um, but yeah, I would say there's like a small gap between us, and I kind of envy like that they could speak like two languages and like understand multiple shared foods and language.
Once again, due to lack of exposure, Ella missed out on opportunities to celebrate her culture through the Mid-Autumn Festival.
Do you ever like get backlash as a result of not being as immersed in your culture as others?
Yeah, a lot of the elders they would speak to me in Vietnamese, or like actually a lot of them don't even know I'm Viet, because I would say like when you grow up a certain way, you kind of like intertwine like your appearances with your culture, and because I'm Asian American, I don't necessarily look Vietnamese. I look a bit mixed. A lot of people think I'm more Chinese, or when I went to Vietnam, they were like, "Oh, are you Korean? Are you Chinese?" Like they don't assume you're Vietnamese American. They just assume you're like something else. But as like elders would speak to me in Vietnamese, and I'd be like, repeat that for me, please. And they'd be like, oh, you don't speak Viet? Like that type of stuff. Also, like being compared to my cousins who do speak more Viet or don't speak Viet, it's just like a really big contrast between the two. And it's just the standards upheld by your family or other people's families just because you don't speak the language but you look the same. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's just kind of frowned upon because it's kind of like you're leaving your culture, even though it wasn't like intended to. It's just how I grew up.
Due to the language barrier with her relatives, being compared to her cousins, and the overall pressure of Vietnamese culture, Ella has more and more felt distant and disconnected with her culture. And with her upbringing of being a Vietnamese American taken into consideration, it's fair to assume that she has taken upon a multicultural identity, in which an individual is influenced by multiple cultures. However, being born in the US, her and her family have assimilated to American culture, which indirectly disconnected them from their own Vietnamese culture.
Basically about like your experience and how it differs from someone who was like born here instead of Vietnam.
Okay.
Okay, so can you introduce yourself and like can you introduce yourself and then tell me like a little bit about your international student experience?
Yeah.
In contrast to Ella, who had a multicultural identity and was born in the US, we have another interviewee who was born in Vietnam, and they have a monocultural identity, meaning that for some time, they have only been influenced by one singular culture.
Never mind. My name's Plum. I go by Ruby. I was born in Vietnam in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. I'm I moved, not technically moved, but I started studying abroad here when I was 16, which is I think June of 2022. I mean September of 2022. I started off in Olympia, Washington. I went to a community college there for 2 years, and I moved to San Jose State. Thank you. I moved to San Jose State last year, which was August 2024.
Okay, I
Yeah.
see. Wow. Okay.
I think for challenges, I don't think people understand the difference between like people learning English and people learning how to talk in a conversation. Because, thank you, when you're learning English, you don't learn like how people talk normally. Like, you don't learn, you learn, hey, how are you? But you
Right.
don't learn all the slangs or like how you react in a conversation, like how to carry it out, not being too formal.
Even though she has been learning English since first grade, she still experiences challenges and barriers. Native speakers having casual conversation is very different than what is officially taught in schools.
Would you feel like you feel American?
Yeah, I feel pretty American. Thank
Okay.
you. I think
Okay.
I only feel more American starting last year. I didn't feel that American when I was in Washington because there's
Mm,
also I feel like the people around me influence me, especially how I talk, how I dress. Yeah, I feel like the old me would be like, "Who are you?"
wow. I see. So since college,
Yeah, since like college.
I see.
Her experience in America has changed her into feeling more American because of the people and culture around her.
It's like kind of like scary to think about how long you've been here, but then suddenly you have to go back to a country that you haven't lived in like for 4+ years. Thank you. Like you have
Mm,
to go back to that life even though you have lived it for so long, but it's been like a fat minute since you haven't been back. So everything would have been so different. Like I don't even know how to drive a moped. So imagine like moving back. Like I don't even know how I'm gonna go to places. So I feel like it's just like scary to think that oh you've have adapt to this you have been adapting to live in this place, but then boom you have to move back.
okay.
So I've
Okay.
been thinking about that a lot.
Even though she has spent most of her life in Vietnam, she is so used to life in America now that she has concerns about moving back, demonstrating how her identity has changed vastly with her time here.